Hey everyone, welcome to another Angry Artist podcast. So, in my previous podcast, I advocated on focusing on improvement and how you can take that drive and bring your work into the next level. A big part of that would be to take critiques from professionals and even from people who might not even draw. Now, it might sound easy. You just have someone to look at your artwork and they tell you what to improve on and what not to improve on. However, a lot of people, especially the younger audiences, tend to have problems really incorporating it and at times really take it personally. To be able to dissect constructive criticisms to random rambling is a huge part of becoming a great artist. Because really, no artist works in a vacuum. You must go through a process of appealing to people, and that comes with really getting their judgments on your work. So, what do I really mean? One big part of it is to separate the person from the advice. Now, that seems a little bit weird, right? You think that maybe you should listen to professionals more than some average Joe. However, think about it. The average Joe is more likely to be your consumer, and your consumer tends to have very stark opinions. Now, the average Joe might not be able to explain to you why something works or why something doesn't, but their opinion is very important still. In fact, over the years, I realized it's more important to cater to the consumer than to cater to a professional's taste. Now, that's not to say professionals are unimportant, but their advice are coming from their perspective, and sometimes their work might not be for people who you are targeting. Now, what are each good for? So the average Joe is able to tell you maybe something is right and something is wrong, and at best their advice can be very shallow. But if they're the ones with money, then of course you have to be able to cater to them. Now, professionals are very good at dissecting your technical ability. So things like anatomy, things like color theory, that sort of thing will be more specific when it comes from them. If you want to improve, you really have to look at both. And never dismiss anything without really contemplating it. In fact, if you're being told a certain advice, try to dig deeper. If somebody is telling you something, they probably have many reasons for it. So it might not be most apparent when you're talking about super technical things, such as anatomy, because those tend to have very clear-cut reasons for it. However, when it comes to color theory, let's say somebody doesn't like your colors, ask them what impressions do your color scheme give off. And ask them if they have color advice on what their impression of the perfect piece would be in this case. You have to be able to really dig as much as you can, and this goes for a lot of students who are going to art college. You don't want to waste your time with the huge amount of professionals teaching at your school. Chances are you're going to be part of a big class, and at least 30 people in each class. They probably don't have all the time in the world to give the best advice to every single student. However, most of the professors I've been with will be glad to help you. You just have to ask them personally. And they honestly feel very honored to be able to do that because a lot of students just take their marks and leave the class. But if you show that extra dedication, they'll be more willing to help you reach that next level. And of course, never take it personally. I can't even count how many people take my advice as if I'm attacking them personally. It's actually very aggravating. If you want to be seen as somebody that people want to help, you want to be thankful for what they do, no matter how they say it. Now, what I mean is, not everyone is very social. I'm not a very social person. At times, I'm going to be very blunt. And when that happens, people might take it personally. They might think, oh man, Alex really hates me. I really don't want to listen to him. That's not really the case. Everyone says things differently. Everyone is unique like that. So maybe they might not be the nicest people in the world, but if they give you the great advice, then you want to just take it, say thank you, and be on your way. They'll appreciate you for that, and you'll be more respected within the field. A lot of people squander their opportunities by being personal about it, and you don't want to do that. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Your work might feel very good for you, but it might not work, and people are going to be very blunt about it. This is especially true when it comes to the average Joe. They're not going to be like, well, this movie is missing some long shots, maybe the color scheme should be more blue, that sort of thing. They'll just say your movie sucks. And you know what I mean, everyone does it. There are movies that you just want to say, it doesn't work. Now, of course, if you're an artist or you're an aspiring artist, you have to really go deeper with that. But you also must appreciate that, yes, there will be people who don't have art training that can give you the advice on whether they would buy something or not. And that's very important. Now, this begs the question, where are you going to find these people who will critique you? Now, there are many ways, especially since we're in the age of the internet. So you want to really expose yourself as much as you can. You don't want to hide too much. I know there are a lot of people, especially the young artists, who are a little shy. They don't want to post it online, or they don't want to show anybody. They just want to keep it into your personal realm. And that's completely fine. If you want to be professional, however, you really need to get used to exposing your work. You're going to have situations where you have to expose your work to that mega superstar artist. And oh man, it's gonna feel so bad if they say no, and it's gonna feel so good if they say it's great. But you need to hit that first step. And the first step is just showing it off. In fact, after many years of experience, I realized I could take my personal beliefs on my art away from each other. So what I mean by that is I don't take it personally anymore. Everything is professional. So even if I spend 20 hours on something and a client doesn't like it, then, it's just part of the job. I understand where they're coming from, and I'll just try to fix it in the next piece. There are many sites such as DeviantArt, ArtStation, that you can probably post on their forums and you'll be able to get some advice. Now, let's say you really want professional advice. My advice is to email your work to professional artists and art directors. They're probably going to have the power to hire you. If your work is decent, they'll be honest about it. And if your work is not working, then they'll be honest about it. Their job is to be professional. And you can know that what they say is probably going to be very important for you in the future. Another advice I like to give is to really go around conventions. It could be comic conventions, it could be anime conventions. Doesn't matter, there will always be some great artists. Unless you're going to some dinky, small convention in the middle of nowhere. But generally speaking, any mid to large size convention will have a lot of professionals. There's bound to be somebody who has a style that you like and you want their advice. Yeah, I know some convention tickets are very high in price right now, but I definitely think it's worth the expense. You have to really invest in your future and your professionalism. So really take it as a step towards improving. To end off the podcast, I want to say everything comes down to not being shy about your work. You want to be trying your best, and you want to be open-minded about it. Be ready for change. Even today, I can get a lot of critiques, and a lot of criticism for my work. And really, I don't hate or love people for it. It's just part of my job. Anyways, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.